All right, guys. Well, welcome to another episode of the Property Journey. And in today's episode, right, I'm going to cover three main things that you as a homeowner and investors should look out for in a property, especially with the new launch River Modern coming out. All right, so we're going to cover three things today. And the first thing we want to look at is by just understanding the size comparison of the supply and the demand in that area, we are able to determine when it becomes a resale, what kind of profile of buyers are going to look at buying your properties. So that's the number one thing that we're going to look at. The second thing that we're going to look at is going to first-hand exclusive, okay, for you guys only, that we're going to pit one layout in River Modern against one of the other project that has been the top selling in the entire same area. So we're going to compare whether River Modern is going to be in trouble in the resale market later on. And the third thing, which is very important, you must stay on all the way to the video because I'm going to share with you my thought process, okay, of a walk-away price in River Modern, that when it crosses this threshold, it basically doesn't make sense anymore and you need to move the other way. So if today this is your first time joining me, do remember to like and subscribe to this video and channel. And most importantly, turn on the notification bell because every single week we will produce videos like this to guide us to stay relevant and current in today's marketplace, where we will take not just about understanding property, but also gaining the knowledge in property by using research, data, and numbers to justify how are we going to look into properties. So in a short while, I'll be sharing with you the details and the research that I have done for so far. And if today you like to have a second opinion of how property is going to be seen, then you can also click on the link below where you are able to actually get access to us and seek a second opinion to see what we can do to help you in your property journey. So let us come back to River Modern first of all, right? So of course, you would have already known where River Modern is because by the MRT connectivity, we are basically just by the Great World City. Okay, and this is actually very important where the importance of how Great World City is going to be in future. So one of the key things that you must understand is today, when we are looking at properties, right, we also want to take a look on, okay, today is the MRT going to be a huge impact in terms of our prices, right? So this has always been one of the key elements where we see. So one of the things that we notice is that actually for MRT effects, in terms of property prices increases, the significantly is not going to be too much. So we have done a report to show whether this MRT will actually increase your property a lot more or without an MRT. So if you are curious to find out on that, you can actually check out one of the videos that we have in our channel and you can search for it so that we can actually guide you through that process. And also one of the other aspects is that we are always thinking about today, if I'm going to buy a MRT property, is it going to be more expensive? So all these things are all inside the video that we have done, that we compare property that is near MRT as well as one that is not. All right, so coming back to this, right, I also want to give you a quick overview because for the Thomson East Coast Line where Great World City is at, right, the convenience is really overwhelming. All right, you're just basically one stop to Orchard Road, and then even when you want to come down to the interchange, it's at Outram, that is only 2 stops. And by just 4 stops and 5 stops, you are already in Marina Bay area. So you are kind of in the center of every happenings and you're so convenient. And that's why in terms of the location, you may be looking at for a residential area where you want the amenities, but just a couple of stops away, you get to go into the bustling CBD Shenton Way area and Marina, where you enjoy the rest of the outlook of how Singapore is. So to give you a quick overview of how River Modern is, so this is where the site is, and why this is also very popular is because of the river. And this is the only plot left where if you intend to stay by the river, you have to kind of go for River Modern. And also remember, developers also understand this fact that because of the rare portion of this land site, right? And this is also the reason why they bid a little bit higher than a lot of the other sites because of the sheer river aspect. And that also will translate to us as homeowners, right, when we are purchasing it, right? So that is also something that we also have to take note of. It's not just about, oh, because I like the river and the developer is going to sell me cheap. All right, so I think we have to understand the fact that there's always a premium to a certain aspect, whether it's the facing, whether it's a floor level, or perhaps even in terms of layout. There's always certain premium that developers will add on so that us as buyers, we will also see that this is going to help us in the resale market. So I want to quickly just give you a quick overview of how much the land prices are. And this also gives us a quick indication, because in the later part of this video, right, I'm going to use back this land prices and break even to give you an indication of what's a walk away price that I see that you shouldn't even consider at. And I'm going to go very hard and furious on this one, because I believe this is one of the biggest mistakes and traps that homeowners make. It's like they like the property, they enjoy the facilities, they like the environment, and they could overpay for it. All right, and we mean by overpaying, that is the reason if you are overpaying, meaning you have not done enough research comparing the rest. So in this video, I just want to give you guys a kind of a head start, like let us study this not just from an emotional aspect, but let us equate it with something that we can support with facts, data, and numbers as well. All right, so if you can see the River Green, when the land bid price, right, is about $1,325 per square foot. And when we look at during the launch sale, this is the best performing property at $3,130 per square foot. So their markup is almost 136%. All right. So of course, we will have another latest plot, and that could potentially be the last plot in River Valley, which is Parcel C. So this is actually in tender process. So we do not know the pricing now. For Promenade Peak, it was bidded at 1,304, and their selling average prices is close to 3,000 with a markup of 128%. So I think for Promenade Peak, I think a lot of people commented that they are kind of feel a little bit how do you call it, uneasy, and kind of wondering why is it that the developers built such a development with the layouts very different. And I believe Promenade Peak, I think, is suited for a certain kind of lifestyle, okay, buyers. So if you're talking about a general public, many cannot accept Promenade Peak. And that is also the reason why Promenade Peak, out of the 3 launches, is the one that slightly underperforming versus the rest in terms of launch sales. Zion Grand is something that I think everybody was anticipating, and it was launched at about $1,200 per square foot. The lowest in terms of land bid, because there's an integration factor in it, right? And there's also the service apartment, and their average launch is also $1,300. So I just want to also put a caution out to everybody, right? Today, if you are thinking about when you see a land bid price, and they are kind of lower than what the neighbors are, it doesn't really translate that they will also sell lower in terms of pricing, because ultimately developers are also here to what? Make money, right? So they want to have a report back to the shareholders that their profits are how much, right? So even when they are able to bid the land, there may be additional costs, maybe additional factors that we are unaware of. And so land cost is just one piece of the puzzle when we are determining how much it is going to be sold in future. So later on in the video, I will try my very best to also share with you how do we see prices and how River Modern is going to be the acceptable range that we should be looking out for, as well as the walk away price where we shouldn't even look at it and we should walk the other way. All right, so we'll be covering that later on in the video, so stay tuned. All right, so of course, River Modern, all right, they bought at 1,420, which is the highest, okay? And of course, we do not know the launch price yet. So anything that you hear online, you see online, or you hear from other people in the coffee shop, all these are speculations, all right? So until the developers have actually given us the green light that this is the pricing, and usually it's a starting price, then we will announce to you. So that's why you must always remember to like this video and subscribe to this channel, because when we get the latest information regarding River Modern, you will be the first one to be notified, and I will be giving you insights, in-depth research as well at the same time. All right. So then, of course, if we look at an average, right, how much the surrounding areas have already transacted, that also gives you a certain benchmark of how River Modern is going to be. And if you look at all the OCR prices, they are already hovering above $2,000 to $2,400 per square foot, as well as the RCR, which is recently Penrith, you know, all these units has already been sold, already crossing the $2,500 to $2,700 per square foot. Why is this important to know? Because it gives us an indication to allow us to know how much other plots are going to be sold for. And the question is, if today you are in River Valley area, you are River Modern, you are by the river, will you also sell much lower than what your competitions are going to be? You know, developers, will they take that kind of strategy and sell you cheaper? Sometimes wishful thinking is something that I always look for. All right, of course, CCR. Okay, you will have all the different 5 properties, and you can see they are all hovering about the $2,900 to even $3,000 per square foot. So this is an important indicator to allow us to understand pricing in a certain location. So of course, if today you are kind of unsure what's your plan are for property, and you really do not want to blind buying, right? Buying it blind, buying blind, same thing, right? Then you may want to seek a second opinion. Okay, why? Because today, what we are trying to achieve is also not to kind of just buy any launches. All right, we will want to help you to disqualify 90% of the launches out there that you cannot see yourself purchasing due to different reasons. And we have very strict criteria that we actually guide you through the process. And if that is you, you can scan the QR code, reach out to us, and we'll be more than happy to kind of guide you through what is happening. And even if you are going for River Modern, what's the strategy behind? What is your holding period? What's the objective that you want? Or perhaps there are other developments upcoming in this year's launch that you're interested in, but you just do not know how to get about it. Then you can scan the QR code and we'll be more than happy to help you. All right, coming back. So to give you a quick overview, if you are kind of wanting a little bit more in-depth study about River Modern, then you check out the other video on top somewhere. Okay, I've done a separate video that I talk about the River Modern more in details, especially the type of properties out there. All right, but to give you a quick overview, we are very spread out in terms of our sizes. Advantage is that there's no 1 bedroom or even 1 plus study. We all start with 2 bedrooms, and all of the units hover about 39%, which is a very good number. Because you must always understand as a buyer whether you're buying it for own stay or for investment. In time to come, they will become a resale properties. Then it becomes a combination among this location, this project, as well as the surrounding one. So later on in the video, I also will cover one thing. Okay, I'll cover one thing that based on the supply of the different types of properties, the 2 bedrooms, the 3 bedrooms, or even the 1 bedrooms, right? Are there too much supply in that area that you could be falling into the trap of buying the wrong type of layout and size? All right, so we're going to cover that in a short while. All right, and right now the 3 bedrooms are also hovering a very good percentage of about 46%. So in my previous video, I did highlight one project that because of the launch of the type of property sizes, it was a wrong move. All right, it was miscalculated due to many different factors, right? So this one project, what happened was they overloaded in the smaller 1 and 2 bedrooms. And in the end of the day, the supply is just too much in that area. The competition becomes very strong, very stiff when it becomes a resale, and end up a lot of the owners are getting little money back from their investments. So this is something that we also want to avoid as we are buying properties in future. But if you look at this, we have a very good 39 and 46%, and so they actually covers a lot of percentage. Most of the percentage, right? About 75% of the percentage actually is 85%. All right, almost 85% of the 2 and 3 bedrooms. And this also tells us one thing, that today when you want to put it into the resale market, yes, definitely in the project there will be competitions. But with competition, it also helps you in terms of your transaction volume. You must have enough transaction volumes for a particular type of layout and a particular type of size to move the market. All right, so River Modern, I believe Guaco, they have done a very fantastic job in terms of placement. And even for the 4 bedroom and 4 plus study, they keep it around 15% only. And interestingly, there is no 5 bedroom, which is periodically in River Valley. A lot of homeowners, they could want to look for a bigger plot size. Okay, but for River Modern, there is none. So this is where you see for the first time in terms of the site plan. Okay, so this is the first release of the actual site plan. All right, so we have given the approval from developers to actually release this. So you can see that right now we are before this was done, we were like trying to guess how the facing and everything is. And so right now you will have 2 type of facing. One is facing the River Valley Green, all right, and the other one of course is Kim Seng Park. So one key thing that you must take note of is that there are 2 blocks. Okay, 2 blocks that they are basically tilted sideways, so that you are able to kind of enjoy the view and also the sun, to kind of avoid the sun a little bit more. And you have a very nice ground pool deck facilities. So when I saw this site for the first time at the show model, right, I want to be utterly transparent that I am a little bit disappointed. Okay, disappointed in what? That they kind of spread out the facilities. So they have most of the facilities in the center where the pool is. Then they have the tennis court here. Then a lot of the other activities are all spread out. All right, but again, after I studied this a little bit more, I realized why the developer is trying to do this. Because right now we understand this is not a regular shape plot. Okay, it's kind of a longish. So for the developers to be creative yet give you the landscaping feel, right, that actually connects all the way to Kim Seng Park, right? I think this one takes a lot of effort and a lot of creativity to kind of place it properly. So when I really study it and when I study the model, even going on site to kind of understand, right, I realized what they're trying to achieve is that they're trying to give you a sense of space all the way together with Kim Seng Park. All right, and this is a big lawn. Okay, a big lawn area where today, if you are staying in the area where you are by the river, you also want to enjoy more space, more lawn area. So by them having a lawn right smack in the center, it also creates that boundaries that, hey, today you're not crossing over mine. I want a little bit more space for this property, right? And so when I further study it, it says, yes, I agree the facilities are kind of spread out over the place, but it also allows people to kind of move around in the development, you see. And what's more, when you have a interlink to Great World MRT station, you still have to walk over there anyway. Right? So this is the first look that we have seen for the site plan, and I'm very excited to bring any one of you down to the show flat if you need help. Then we can give you a private tour of how this entire development is like, and putting out all the bells and whistles that Guacoland has done. And Guacoland projects, I think, is a top notch. I think they are one of the most leading developer in the last couple of years when they were aggressively bidding for land, and it has shown results in multiple of their recent launches. And I believe they will be the next pinnacle of developers in terms of standards, in terms of design, and in terms of creativity, how they lay out their properties. All right, so let's look at the facilities wise. So do take note, River Modern, there's also shops and restaurants. Okay, there are also shops and restaurants, which makes it a little bit more commercial, right? But at the same time, I believe when you are having a residential kind of area, can you just imagine if you're sitting by the river with the restaurants there and you're just by the river? It's very Robertson Key kind of lifestyle. Okay, but this is in River Valley, so it's very different. But yet the similarity is that is how Guacoland wants to kind of contribute back into River Valley, that area with a very rare river. And how can they beautify this entire aspect of this development to make you as a homeowner or even as an investor happy that you want to hold on to this property a little bit longer instead of just flipping it after 4 to 5 years. All right, so they have whatever a property condo has. The details I'm not going to go in. So I think more importantly is you really want to see how the development is like. The best way is to reach out to us so that we can kind of book for you a private tour to see the show flat, to see the show model, and to explain to you where exactly each all the site plans are, the facilities are, so that you can actually know and understand how is it going to be like living there with just the models and the floor plan. Okay, so moving forward, right, I just give you a very quick overview. Again, if you want to really study into this, then you will have to kind of visit the other video where I covered this a little bit in depth. So River Modern is here where the Kim Seng Park is, and that's where the Singapore River is, right? It's just across Kim Seng Park. But just take note that because there's also another parcel that is upcoming, which is this. All right, I just put a question mark here. There's Parcel C that has not been launched. It has been launched for tender, but it's still in the process, right? So we do not know how much is it. We do not know who's going to bid for it. But that also gives you a clearer indicator of how your future is, especially if you are buying the plots along River Valley Green. All right, so this is a known fact that if you're going to buy there, whether you're buying 20th floor, 30th floor, 60th floor, all right, no matter which floor, in front of you will definitely be constructions. There will definitely be buildings in front of you. So this is also the direction where I believe developers will be pricing it more sensitively, than the one facing the river. So please accept the fact River Valley, River View definitely will be like more premium. Okay. So I think the advantage is that today we are also 1 km to River Valley Primary School. All right, it's just about 3 minutes walk. Very, very convenient. And you are 2 km to ACS Junior as well as St. Margaret's. And when you want to walk to the MRT, it's just less than 6 minutes. Okay, so but this is of course based on the site, right? Right. I believe there's a site gate that you can actually use for the River Modern to access to the MRT. All right. So the question is, we also have to ask ourselves is how many total supply in River Valley area that we need to be aware of. What's the new upcoming supply? Because later on, what we're going to do is I'm going to uncover based on 1 km of Great Wall MRT. Okay, let's just use Great Wall MRT as a base. We're going to cover 1 km and take a look at how many properties are there in total. All right, shall we? All right, so let me just show you this breakdown that we have done, right? And I'm going to show this to you live on how we are doing this. All right, because using this development, right, we are able to actually filter off basically based on where we want in terms of the MRT. So let us just look for Great Wall. Let's see, Great Wall, where are you? Okay, Great Wall MRT. Okay, so when we filter this, right, of course, I want to take a look at both the resale as well as the new launch project, just to give me an idea of how many total developments, how many units are there in total. All right, so if you look at it right now, at this current live moment, right, we have 136 resale listings. Okay, well, resale projects. All right, does this cover all the projects in that 1 km? Of course not, because there are some projects that have nobody selling. That's why it's not reflected. But we have 1,676 listings currently. Whereas the projects, right, we have 480 available units, which is the new launch projects, the balance units that has not been sold. So if you can take a look at this, there are actually a lot of various resale market going on. But if let's say we want to be fair, we want to just pull down and kind of narrow down to the recent 3 that's just launched, we want to see how much extra supply is coming into the marketplace. So let us just understand that today, based on the property, right? So if we look at right now, River Green, okay, as of today, the total sale volume has went up to 92%. Okay, let me just use a different color, 92%. Okay, and a lot of the units have already been sold. Right now, basically, they have just left like maybe very little the 1+ study as well as a 2-bedroom. So 2-bedroom has been the best performing in this area. And I think very interestingly, what we are seeing is that the 4-bedroom, nobody buy. Okay, maybe it's due to the size. All right, for a 900 over square feet unit for a 4-bedroom, maybe there's something some people can accept, some people cannot accept, right? And that's why some of the other units are kind of still waiting for the right buyers. But I think all in all, River Green does very well because the overall pricing point quantum is very acceptable for a lot of upgraders. So right now, we are left with about 41 units, all right, for River Green. And let's look at Promenade Peak. All right, Promenade Peak at the moment, they have sold about 68%. Okay, not too bad. And generally, a lot of the units, if you look at this, which is why sometimes pricing, building the correct type of properties is important. For Promenade Peak, you can see that their units for sale has been as it is. And right now, there's left about 191 units all in total. So I think surprisingly, their 1+ study, they managed to sell 50% of it. And of course, they still have another 40 units to sell. And the 2-bedrooms, again, the 2-bedrooms are performing extremely well in this case. Okay, very a lot. And the 3-bedroom as well, okay, sell very well for this. So when it goes on to a bigger premium, right, some of the developments, when you're doing comparison, there are some layouts or some sizes that some developments don't have. Like for example, this one, we have the 5-bedroom premium and the 1+ study configuration, right? So for River Modern, there's no 1+ study, there's no 5-bedroom. So anyone who wants to kind of put it into a entry kind of property, they will have to go for maybe perhaps even Promenade Peak, all right? Or they have to go and choose River Green because they do have the 1-bedroom as well as a 1+ study. So that's where why we want to study the type of sizes supply. Okay, because this will translate to demand in future. So let us look at Zion Grand. I think Zion Grand has been also very popular. And if you can take a look, this is almost 87% sold. With a lot of the units, right now we left about 91 units left. Okay, so this is also something that we want to kind of understand that today based on how the buyers are doing their purchase. You know, what's the profile like, which I'm going to cover later on in the video as well. Like, who are the ones buying the properties actually, you see? So when we further break it down in this layout as well as sizes, then we will be able to have a better indication. Like today, when we are looking at River Modern, should we go for the 2-bedroom if we can? If let's say I have a higher quantum, should I go for the 3-bedroom? Which one should I choose? All right, so I think this will be the biggest factor that when you're going in for the balloting, you want to kind of understand. Because some of us, we may just have a very limited range of budget to just go for the 2-bedroom. But even 2-bedrooms, there are so many different sizes, you know, and different phasing, different floor level, based on your quantum that you can afford, what you should be doing. And for some of the more fortunate ones, maybe you do have options, meaning you can choose the 2-bedrooms, or maybe you can even upgrade yourself to a 3-bedroom types. But 3-bedroom type, there are also the 3-bedroom compact, as well as a 3-bedroom premium. Should we pay the extra for the premium? That all is important, because we have done a study, right? And to give you a breakdown in terms of this location, out of all the other 3 in River Valley, we also bring in our Robertson Opus, just to let us know, like today, how are the number of smaller units performing at the moment. So we break it down into smaller units. Like right now, basically the Robertson Opus, about 47% of the small bedrooms are being sold. Promenade Peak, 65%. River Green, wow, 90% of the smaller units has been sold. And as well as Zion Grand, 85% has been sold. So averagely it's about 74%, right? So there's this notion in the marketplace that a lot of people are worrying that, well, if I buy a smaller unit, 1-bedroom or 1+ study, it's going to be affecting my resale next time, because how am I going to sell? And I want to kind of clarify this portion also. Largely, it's not about whether buying a 1-bedroom doesn't make sense or not. I think that is a very unfair statement. I think more importantly is, if today, based on your affordability, you can only go for that 1-bedroom or even the small 2-bedroom, right? Would you want to waste your time to save up enough to enter into the property market? All right, so that should be the correct question. The second thing that a lot of people have been hearing all in the marketplace is that today, if I buy a 1-bedroom, it's so difficult for me to exit. The rental is not going to be too good. And also, most important, there's going to be so many competition, because a lot of the buyers who are buying the smaller units generally are for investing. All right, it's very rare, not say rare, there are that they buy for own stay, but they want to get the best returns out of such a property. Then the question you must ask yourself is, today, if I'm going to buy a 1-bedroom or even 1+ study in this location where there's a lot of supply, you know, will it become a problem for me in the resale market? Because what we are seeing right now, all the smaller units, right, are all basically, there's a high take-up rate, right? And this is also largely because the properties are being priced very, very attractively. And we are now in the harmonized era, right? So that's why the 1 or 2 bedrooms are still going to be very fancy. A lot of buyers are still going to look at it. And if we look at the larger units, you can see, surprisingly, the numbers also are very, very high. Okay, very high. So there's a mixed group of buyers currently in this location. Generally, I believe it's because of the lifestyle staying. All right, it's very rare for you to kind of buy a property by the river, and that's why we are seeing, even for both the smaller units as well as the bigger units, there's a kind of a equal comparison. But of course, today, if you ask me to choose between a smaller unit and a larger unit, I would definitely go for a larger unit in River Valley. Not to say that because of a larger floor plate, I'm going to make more profits. It's not about that. It's just that today, the entry for a bigger unit right now is getting tougher and tougher. All right, the quantum gets bigger and bigger. So if today you are younger, you have an opportunity, you may want to go in as big as possible in the correct location. But that says, I also want to warn you, you may not need to kind of change out your property very quickly over the next 5 to 6 years. You may want to hold on to that property a little bit longer for it to be more matured. And if you have that kind of plan, then let us help you out to sniff out like what are the projects out there that is of bigger floor plate, right? That gives you more ability for growth opportunities in future. Because sometimes we realize a lot of homeowners, when they buy into a certain project, they kind of give themselves that 4 years or even 5 years exit, which is rather risky due to whatever different reason, right? All right. So I always believe property, you need to have time. You need to use time to mature it a little bit so that you can actually optimize the growth and you can exit it with a better even profit. So when we do our research, right, we also realize that today, based on the client's profile, a lot of us were still having this thought that, hey, foreigners are the one buying properties in Real Valley. No doubt in the past, but I think since 2024, with the 60% ABSD, everything has changed. All right, so this is a good breakdown that a majority of them are still Singaporeans, all right, buying properties in Real Valley. So then, of course, I also want to kind of understand if today, when River Model come out as a resale, how are the competitions going to be? So we took a lot of effort to kind of look into the supply in the area. Okay, we took a lot of effort to kind of piece it up and pull out some of these listings that just I showed you to just give us a quick percentage overview. How much, how many listings are there in, and would there be a close competition, or basically there's a lack of demand? So there are two ways that we're going to see this, right? First is today, if there's a lot of supply, if you see that this area there's a lot of supply and you are also one of the owners for this kind of huge supply, right, then would it be very difficult for you to exit, to make a quick sale, especially if you are thinking of exiting it within the 4 years SSD or even 5 years, kind of a short-term period, okay? And also the other question you have to ask yourself is, if there's a lot of supply, could you have the opportunity to hold on to this property longer, since this place is very livable? So let's just take a look at the numbers that we kind of pull out, right? So as of right now, River Green, there's a 20% of 1-bedroom listings. Okay, of course, these are all the units that are still being sold, right? And then the Property Guru, we have 53%, and bedroom listings for 3 bedrooms and as well as a 4-bedroom. So these are all the number of units that basically the percentage that are in direct competition with you when you are selling your real modern. Okay. Of course, when we want to look at this, we need to look at it from a resale perspective, right? Promenade Peak, right now, they have about 13%. Okay. And 2 bedrooms, we have 54%. And these are all the numbers that you can use it to break down, because just now I showed you how River Modern has placed themselves between their 1 and 2 bedrooms. They take out almost 85% of the entire project. And Zio Grand, we have only just 5% for the 1 bedroom, 22%, and 27% for the 3 bedroom, and 9%. Okay, so these are some of the listings that we are seeing online. But of course, when we are going into the real numbers of which type of developments, which type of layouts are there for, to allow us to kind of know, like, okay, what kind of pricing should we be looking at? Okay, so these are all very important. So also what we have done was using this to kind of did a comparison with our resale prices out there, so that we see that, okay, today we have a full 2,200 units coming into the marketplace. Okay, where's the percentage? And then when we look at the supply composition, right, all the resales, we also did a kind of numbers, right, like what are the total number of percentage across all board. All right, so this also gives you a very clear indication that today, if I want to buy, whether it's a 1, 2, 3, or even 4 or 5 bedroom, you need to kind of study what is the supply going on in the area. And based on the sale volume, that will also translate that how many people are desirable buying into this location. So what we have done was, we also have actually done a kind of a price matrix just to give you a quick overview about how River Modern is like. Of course, if you want to have a better indication of supply of the matrix of prices when it's been released, and on that valid day you want to have a very quick comparison, then you may want to reach out so that we can guide you through that process, because this is not just a one piece kind of data, right? Along the way, we will need to help you to kind of streamline based on affordability, based on the property price, which price gap is something that we should look for. So remember to kind of subscribe to this channel and continue watching, because later on I'll be sharing with you what is the price point where we should be exiting for River Modern, meaning if the price went to this threshold, it basically just don't make sense that you should be purchasing it when the developer launch it. So this is also the reason why when we have a price matrix, it gives us a guideline to determine what's the walk-away price that we should be doing. So this is how we do a comparison, right? Let's say of course, it's very unfair if I bring in all the resale properties, right? But let's just take a look at the recent launches. Okay, so where with Sky Holland launching about 3,000, sold at about 3,000 per square foot, right? And Promenade Peak at about 2,009, Zion Grand at 3,000, River Green at 3,001, right? So why do we piece it out this way? So if today River Modern, depending on Guaco's strategy, right? If they really go and price it below 3,000 per square foot, then I believe that is a sure no-brainer to purchase. Would there be units that is going to be at 3,000? I believe so. Perhaps the lower floor units, the not so good facing, which is facing the Parcel C, could be launching around this kind of pricing. So again, you need to weigh out the factor. Should I go in with a lower price? And in future, there will be a building in front of me to block me. Okay, so these are all the consideration factors you have. But I will believe that the developer likely will be launching within the 3,001 to 3,002 kind of range. I believe that is something fair. Because why River Green has really transacted around the area, and River Modern do have an advantage of the river. So within this area, the river facing is definitely going to be higher in terms of per square foot. It's very unlikely they will turn the other way around so that they can sell all the river facing and put it very cheap. I don't believe that. But I believe the developers would price the Parcel C site very attractively so that there will be still buyers who will be actually buying it instead of everybody chonging for the river facing, and there's just not enough supply for them. But of course, what I believe the clear walkaway price, if it comes to this point, is anything above 3,002 would be a little bit overvalued. Okay, but again, will people still purchase it? I believe so. All right, of course, in a fair stage, right? When I did my latest research, 3,003 and above would be a little bit overwhelming. Okay, would be a little bit overwhelming in that location. And again, we also need to understand today, Parcel C is also largely dependable on how River Modern is sold to price it. So likely the Parcel C properties is not going to be lower than all these properties in terms of land bid. Okay, it will be higher. And the developers or even the government is definitely trying to see how River Modern performs and whether the demand is there for developers to actually bid a higher price. So based on this, based on the surrounding prices and recent developments, we believe if let's say anything that crosses the $3,300 per square foot, you may want to kind of tiptoe a little bit and decide should you walk away from this project. Okay, and because we have already kind of done an estimated new launch valuation map to benchmark the different types of properties. So River Green at the last stage has command the highest. Okay, has command the highest. So will River Modern, okay, overthrow this new launch in this market? All right, this is something that we want to kind of anticipate. And if today you are here and you kind of like what you have seen so far using research data and numbers, you may want to just scan the QR code so that we can help you to disqualify 90% of the launches so that you don't buy blind and you buy by deciding, not guessing. All right, so stay tuned because later on I'll be showing you next is the floor plans. Okay, what are the floor plans that River Modern has released? And this is the first round that you will be going to see because this is just fresh out of the oven. All right, we quickly put this together so that we can actually share with you, and not only just about River Modern layout. We're going to show you what layout in River Modern is something that you need to be a little bit more careful about when you compare to the other developments. Okay, so we're going to pit two different projects, okay, River Modern and one more, okay, and one more project's layout. And then you tell me if today in the resale market, which layout will you prefer, okay, to purchase. That's where your demand is going to come in. That's what will be your exit strategy going to be. So we have done a lot of all this research. So it will help if you can just subscribe and like this video and also turn on the notification bell so that we can kind of guide you through. With that says, if you need help on your property, kind of you're undecided, should you do this, should you not do that, even if I want to go and buy a River Modern, what is the strategy behind it that I should be looking at? Scan the QR code and then we'll be more than happy to actually guide you through the process because we have done it ourselves. Multiple hundreds of our clients have done it, and now it's your turn to buy property safely, not guessing. So let us take a look at the 2 bedrooms for River Modern first of all. All right, so again, there's no one or one and 1 plus study 2 bedroom, right? So I think the typical layout of this, this is in stack 2 and stack 5 and stack 12, right? So stack 5 is this, and then stack 12 is this. So these are all facing the what? The other plot or future plot. Also, this one you cannot ignore. All right, so your views, even if you're getting higher floors, will be compromised somehow. But again, in Singapore, if you're in River Valley area, you have to expect that your front is going to be blocked by something, okay, no matter what. So it's very rare that you can get unblocked view, unlike some of the other developments that we have seen, right? So this is something that we need to take note of. And what we notice for this development is that they are giving a very comfortable 3 meters living area. All right, I think with Harmonize, it has helped. And this becomes kind of a norm in future where the living room area has to be minimum at least 2.8 to 3 2.9 meters to 3 meters. We have seen even bigger ones, right? So this gives you the luxury of space, and you do not need to worry about it's too tight for your living area, unlike the previous generations where the living hall is like maybe 2.6 meters or even 2.7 meters, which is rather tight, you see. And I think one of the key things that I noticed for this layout is the balcony. Can you see the balcony is like you have an RC ledge here, then the balcony kind of in between. So I'm not so sure why developers, maybe from a design perspective, that's what they do. And they have an RC ledge there, right? But it's just that it's kind of weird. You open your balcony kind of not fully. Pros and cons. One is you're not getting a huge ass balcony space, but yet at the same time, it kind of not allowed you to use fully the entire area. So one of the other things that you must take note is the entire length, right? This area is very generous at 7.7 meters. Okay, so I think with an open concept kitchen like this, no doubt your entry into that area is going to be very, very comfortable. So one of the key things that we must understand is today, based on the open concept kitchen, a lot of some homeowners, they say, oh, because it's open concept, I don't want to buy. But I think it's increasingly become more common, all right, because due to the lack of size and the price, right? And open concept kitchen has their pros and cons. One way is that when you enter into the property, basically everything kind of widens, all right? So you do not need to, it's not segregated. Sometimes when you see the L-shaped kitchen or even a C-shaped kitchen, they seems to be a little bit more tight, a little bit more compact. But an open concept kitchen like this actually opens up the entire area. And importantly is that they have created a proper dining area space for you, all right, which is unseen of in the last era of the layout. And this is just a 2 bed 1 bath. Okay, and to give you some context, right, right now, if let's say we talk about 3,000, so I'm going to use this benchmark, right, 3,000 to 3,003 per square foot. Okay, because this is the benchmark, and I'm going to use this benchmark across all the different layouts so that you have a price comparison, okay, on to the different developments. So if today we are looking at for Promenade Peak, we don't have, because they don't have 2 bed 1 bath, right? And then River Green, right? River Green for their 2 bed 1 bath, they are sold about 1.47 million to about 1.82 million, all right, for their 2 bed 1 bath. And Urwell, right, as a resale, has already sold for 1.65 million to about 1.8 million. Okay, so this is the range. So if we use 3,000 per square foot to 3,003 per square foot for River Modern, we're expecting the prices to be about 1.61 million to about 1.8 million. So this will be the range, and if you are falling into this gap, then this potentially is going to be the estimated prices, depending on which floor and which facing as well. All right, so this is how we're going to use. We're going to use 3,000 to 3,003 as a benchmark for River Modern, and that's where we will start seeing how the prices are going to be. All right, so we also want to compare this property and to see in the resale market, how would it compare to River Green. Okay, why do we choose River Green? Because based on layout, I think this will be one of the closest competition, okay, around the entire area. Some are either too big, some are either too irregular, so we need to use a apple to apple, almost an apple to apple comparison. So based on size, River Modern, you are getting about 538 square feet. For River Green, it's 603 square feet. But if we start looking at the both layout, right, are they same but different? Okay, so one of the key things you must understand, if today you're going for 2 bed 1 bath, you also need to start to look at who is your competition in the future. So we're getting an open concept kitchen, no doubt. Okay, open concept kitchen. And River Green, we are basically have a tuck-in, all right, tuck-in kind of a 2-island layout. So this one, it will be the first main comparison that a resale buyer will start to study, look at. And of course, if you ask me for River Modern, the advantage that they have is that they have a they have cut out a space for dining area. Whereas for River Green is just like along the corridor. All right, so if you remember what I mentioned about the space approach when we come into the unit. So today, when you come into River Modern, right, you kind of get the entire open space. But for River Green, you come in, it's kind of tight around this area. And if you really put a dining space here, it kind of blocks the entire view and the walkway, right? So, so this is something that we also need to be extra careful about. There's no right or wrong which developments and layout is better. It's just that you need to start comparing with your neighbors. So, of course, one of the options is that you can turn your dining into the balcony area, which is also a nice view. Then it opens up a little more space. Okay, a lot more space. Because I don't know, because of the rear of space, right? Both properties also have the issue of facing the toilet for your dining area, which you can't help because this is just a 2-bedroom, a 2-bedroom configuration, so you cannot have everything. What is the other alternative? You can save more money, and then you can go buy a bigger 2-bedroom or even 3-bedroom, right? Yeah. So then, of course, based on the living hall, the bedrooms, they are all generally very similar. Okay, the bedrooms are usually about 2.8 meters by 2.5 meters. You will be around there, and you are able to fit in the queen bed generally for all the common rooms, and the master room you can fit in the king bed. Right. So based on this, even with balcony space, everything is kind of as it is. So there's when you do a comparison, they also have both entrance. Okay, for the guests to use for the toilets, because there's only one toilet, right? So this is something that we see in the marketplace. That will be a huge competition if you are talking about 2 bed 1 bath. So let us move forward to 2 bed. All right, 2 bed, there are 3 sizes for River Modern. Okay, and the 646 square feet. If you can see, this is in stack 6. Okay, stack 6, and again we have a very generous 3-meter living hall, and the master, generally the size is about 3.2 meters by 2.5 meters, so it's wider, and the entire length for this 2 bed 2 bath is a bit longer at 8.1 meters minimum. The 678 square feet is also another at stack 9. So this one is stack let me just pull out stack 6. This one is stack 9. Okay, and for this one, again, the living hall, everything is the same. All right. So the difference is that you are getting a L-shaped kitchen here. Okay, L-shaped kitchen. So this is slightly better. Why? Because we are getting it a little bit tucked in, so you get a little bit more walking space here. And everything kind of opens up as well. So this is definitely one of the more popular choice, if you ask me, if they are looking for a semi-enclosed with an L-shaped kitchen. All right, so the entire length for this is also wider, longer, because it's almost 9.3 meters. Okay, and the interesting part is that just take note at the balcony is a full balcony open, or else the 646 square feet is only like half. I won't say half, like 3/4 perhaps. Right, so you kind of have the balcony, don't have the balcony kind of situation. And since balcony has already been very accepted in the modern society, I think every one of us, we would like a proper balcony so that we can actually use it at the same time. And the 689 square feet unit, this is at stack 8, and this is also the show flat unit. Okay, stack 8, this is also a show flat unit. A very nice dumbbell configuration. The one thing that I also want to highlight is this one is a C kitchen. Okay, so they managed to kind of squeeze in the entire kitchen, but it will definitely make the walkway seems to be a little longer. Okay, in this sense, okay, a little bit longer. The rest are quite common. It's quite similar. Okay, And here you also get the full balcony configuration. So out of these three, right, for a 2-bedroom, the only thing that I have a little bit of should I say resolution? No, it's not. Okay, but it's just that some reserve. Okay, some reserve is that for the 646 square feet, what I realized is the entire corridor space, okay, walk-in space, but because they put it the kitchen, the toilet first, right? So this is the only thing that I believe in a 2-bed, 2-bath configuration. The 678 and 689 would definitely be sold out first. Again, it all depends on the pricing and whether you are able to accept the stack facing at the floor level, right? And 646, I think that's the reason why they also do this, is because pricing will be lower in terms of per square foot. All right, so this is something I think is important for us to take note of. Okay, and so if let's say we use this to compare, okay, we use this to compare to River Green again. Okay, let us take a comparison. So in River Green, right, basically the 603 square feet versus the 646 River Modern. All right, which one will be a more acceptable layout? So even though River Modern is 646 square feet, but with the additional kind of wasted space here and open concept kitchen, when you're versus River Green, even though it's smaller by 40 square feet, you are getting a proper no wastage of space, and you are getting a tuck-in kitchen. Will River Green become one of the competitor in your selection for resale properties? So to give you some numbers, again, we're using 3,000 to 3,003 as a benchmark for River Modern, right? Which means a property like this, for average, all the 2 bedrooms should hover about 1.9 million to 2.1 million. Okay, should be hovering about there. The larger ones will be going at least 2.06 million to 2.3 million range. Okay, should be about there. All right, that's where the range. And if we compare surrounding, all right, surrounding what is happening in some of the prices is that Promenade Peak has already transacted about 1.78 million to 2.065 million. That's for Promenade Peak. River Green, average with this layout, has already transacted about 1.68 million to about 2.11 million. Of course, there are different floor levels, right? For Orwell, it transacted about 1.9 million to 2.1 million. As well as Zion Grand. Okay, Zion Grand, of course, is the 646 square feet. Okay, 646 square feet unit. Already transacted about 1.75 million to 2.13 million. So this also gives you a quick overview, like, okay, how much are the prices for this kind of 2-bed, 2-bath costing us? All right. So I think this is important for us to know, and not just about, oh, I just want to buy a property and that's it. We don't want to do any comparison. I think as a homeowner buying a 2 million property, we need to do some basic research lah. Okay. Yep. All right. So let us just take a look at the 3-bedroom again. So 3-bedroom, this is a compact 3-bedroom. We have various layouts. All right. This is stack 13. Okay. Again, 3 meters, generous living hall. Okay. Entire length is about 8.1 meters. And generally, all these four, not much difference. This is stack 11. Okay. All of them are quite not much different. This is, yeah. So the key thing is that what is the main difference that we want to start seeing is that today, let's say we talk about 797, right? Theirs is an open concept 3-bedroom kitchen. Okay. A very open kitchen concept. Whereas the rest are all tucked in your conventional layout in terms of a 3-bedroom, so nothing to shout for. Whereas the other two, right, 829 as well as 893 are my favorite lah, the dumbbell 3-bedroom layout. Okay, because you have 1 bedroom tucked in one corner each. Okay, and then you have the other two. So 829, just take note, they only have the 1 bed here, but this is not attached to the toilet. Okay, then they have your kind of conventional layout this way. So this the kind of layout for 829 you mostly see in where 4-bedroom or 5-bedroom units, where you have kind of I call it the unwanted child room lah. Okay, because you're kind of one side, right, out of the space. But for a 3-bedroom, it's not as scary, like it's not as long, so it still functions as a normal proper room. All right, and for 829, what you get a C-shaped kitchen, which is definitely doable for a proper 3-bedroom. Again, compact 3 bedrooms, you have to accept that there's no yard, there's no WC toilet, or even additional storeroom. So this is how it makes it very acceptable in terms of affordability wise. Okay. So when it goes to the 893 square feet unit, then the interesting comes really. Because why? Let me just use a different color. All right. So now you can see that they have a proper proper kind of a dumbbell 3-bedroom, right? And then the other 2 rooms are done here. And this is where the flexi wall comes around. So let me just show you. For 893, there's kind of a flexi wall that you can do a study. This is the area. Also, if you don't want, you remove this out, you will have a bigger open concept kitchen. Or you can even build an island in this kind of layout. So the 893, I would say that it gives you a little bit more flexibility to play around. Okay, at the same time, whereas the 829 square feet kind of give you everything that you needed. So you do not need to kind of reconfigure. But if you're somebody who kind of like, oh, I may want to do an island in a 3-bedroom to give it the grandness, or you want to build another storeroom, then the 893 give you that flexibility. All right, so the more interesting part, I would say interesting, okay, interesting layout will be the 904 square feet. All right, so if you immediately when you see this, the number one thing that you're wondering is that when you come in, hey, no kitchen. All right, so the other days, a client was also commenting, hey, why is it that all the show flats coming in is the kitchen already? But if you don't want the kitchen when you come in, then this is the only layout that you can find. Where you come in, you will have a proper dining area, and then you have a 3 meters dining area, living area as well. And your balcony basically stretches all the way to kitchen. So big, I guess, if you want to find out one of the developers' iconic is this kind of layout, you can comment inside and see whether you get it correct or not when I see your comment. All right, so there's one developer is kind of, this is the icon. All right, when they have a property, they will want to have this balcony stretching all the way to the kitchen area. So this is the only layout that if you ask me, if you prefer that the kitchen is not directly when you enter, then you will have a tuck-in kitchen. And that's why they have this big balcony, because your kitchen space, it opens up to this area. So initially, whenever I look at layouts, I also find that this kind of layout is not so desirable. But I think as the era moves and our buyer consumer behavior changes, right? I think people will start to accept and appreciate this because of the space that you can definitely just use outside here as almost like an additional storage and pantry kind of area, and it doubles up as your kitchen. For a 3-bedroom, a lot of times you may want to do some cooking, and storage is always a key issue. So with the additional balcony space, when you do up the zip track and you put up storages, then it acts as part of your kitchen cabinet. And the best part is you do not need to spend a lot of cost because it's at the balcony, right? So you do not need to do carpentry. You can just buy off the shelf racks and then you can double it up as your storage. So this gives you the flexibility with the balcony. So it's all about creatively using the space that you have, because we do have some limitations, right? And of course, everything that comes with a good, there will always be some negative about. And because of this kitchen that is stuck in center, you cannot run away from the long corridor that it comes with 904 square feet. So these are all the space that is there, but you can't use it. So theoretically, will 904 be really the full livable space that you can use, even with the additional balcony? This is something that you need to take note of. Okay, so that is how the 3-bedroom compact is like. So if we compare, right, just using the 829 square feet unit, because I need to kind of cover how it compares to River Green. So if you look at this, right, the layout generally is very similar because you also have a C kitchen. For River Green, you also have one. But River Green does have an additional household shelter storage. So again, you gain the household shelter, but then what do you discount it with? Maybe a very narrow entry into your living hall. All right. But whereas for River Modern, when you come in, everything kind of widens up again, and you have your own designated area for dining. So all in all, for this kind of configuration, you will see that with the generous of 3 meter length, right, the River Modern 3-bedroom for 829 square feet seems to be much more functional. But For River Green, you do have an advantage of the household shelter, and that does make a huge difference, especially for a family who needs a 3-bedroom. So again, let us use 3,000 to 3,003 per square foot, just an estimate. River Modern will likely be commanding about 2.4 million to 3 million. Okay, and the larger ones will be around this range, depending on the per square foot. And for the rest of the developments nearby that we compare, Promenade Peak, they don't have a 3-bedroom compact. They're all big size. Okay, River Green has already sold within the 2.7 million range, and Awell Hill has sold about 2.6 to about 2.7 million, and of course Zion has sold about 2.2 to 3 million. Why such a big difference? Because of the height lah. It's a very tall building, right? So yeah, so this gives you a quick overview. Like if today, when the developers, they launch within the 3,000 to 3,003 per square foot, and you're looking at 2.4 million to 3 million range, I believe you are still kind of in competition, but that's where you want to see, do you want to overpay when it goes higher floors? Okay, I believe the 3-bedroom compact, if you are going into the lower floors, you do have more security. Okay, and this is why we want to do comparison whenever you look at properties, to decide, okay, what kind of sizes. It's not just about, oh, because I can afford for this size, that's why I go and buy. Okay, so I'm not going to cover too much about the 4-bedroom units. Okay, so because my 4-bedrooms unit is really spectacular, first of all, and they are all ranging from 1,400 square feet to even 1,800 square feet, which is the show flat unit. So if you kind of looking at the majestic of how a 8,009 square feet unit is, right? All right, so I'm going to just put in a teaser. All right, you have to kind of reach out so that we can kind of bring you down to the show flat and take a look at how the 4 bedrooms are. And trust me, the phenomena of a 4-bedroom, the kind of classy in River Valley area, is unheard of until Guacoland dares to take the challenge and do this. Okay, so the 4 bedrooms basically are 1,400 square feet as well as 1,839 square feet. So we can actually run through reviews separately on that if there is anything that you need help in. So I will just quickly just run through, like, how do we actually help you all look at properties? So because we disqualify 90% of the launches out there, right? And we do a lot of different research, and we want to bring you through this new launch ladder. It's not just about how much you can afford, but let us bring you through a step-by-step process before you even decide whether you should be buying a new launch or even a resale property. And if let's say you have decided that, okay, maybe new launch is the way that you want to go for, then we can help you to map out whether should we go for the future launches, or maybe even balanced unit are still available that is attractive enough for you to enter. And let's say if we are waiting for some of the more prime locations that we are kind of familiar with, and we want to go for it, for example, River Modern. And so prior to actually doing that, we will want to guide you through the 5 things and before we even go for the selection and balloting. The first is definitely we need to look into affordability to make sure that today you are not overcommitting yourself. Because if you're talking about you only have 4 years of waiting time and you want to kind of sell out the project, I may disagree and I may prevent you doing that. Because if you are just holding it just for 4 years and you want to have a quick flip, then the property may not have matured enough. All right, so we can use the 4 year as a benchmark, as a milestone to see what is needed. But if you have a hard stop at 4 years, I think that is very risky. All right, second thing, we will definitely help you to kind of look into how we have done in terms of selection, in terms of unit selection, prices, affordability. We need to kind of match them up and stack them up step by step so that you do not get lost in the frenzy of the balloting process, because it is very rowdy, it's going to be very chaotic, it's going to be very messy. If you have not done enough homework behind the scene, you will have just blindly buy any property when you're there because of FOMO situations. And that's also where we will guide you through that. Should we go for a higher floor 2-bedroom? Or if there's an opportunity for us to buy a lower floor 3-bedroom, which one makes more sense? So these are the things on the spot when the prices are out. We will help you to understand and study together quickly to give you what the best case scenario possible in your situation, and whether we should undertake that possibility. And last but not least, we will definitely help you with a walk-away price when it comes to crunch day. Because when the prices are released, some units, some facing some floor levels just don't make sense. We will be the one to guide you through, to become your devil's advocate, to guide you through like this don't make sense. what are we going to do next? All right, so we will be pulling you away if needed, provided you allow us to pull you away lah. Okay, so we definitely will have this kind of benchmark of what are we pricing, because what we do is we will tabulate the numbers. We will tabulate the numbers in detail so that you do not get confused on the actual launch day. All right, we tabulate numbers on this on a very live basis to help you make a better informed decision instead of just guessing your way through property. And like this, we have done it for Sky Holland as well. All right, so these are some of the things that we do to help you understand how property should be done ahead. Okay, so how we help? Basically, we help you as a first-time buyer. Maybe this is your first time into new launch and you do not know what's happening. Let us guide you through. Or perhaps you are HDB upgraders, you have already sold your place and you have renting somewhere, or perhaps you are already staying with your parents and you kind of wanting to enter into this new launch market because you want something new and you are not rushing for time to move in. Or perhaps you are a strategy investor like us ourselves. We go into new launches because there is a certain fundamentals that allow us to grow our money faster and safer. Or if today you are a stuck owner, you do not know what you need to do. Should you go for a new launch? Should you go for resale? Or should you even sell your property to move forward? Then you can actually reach out to us to help you through this process. For those of you who are interested in real modern, let me just share with you how our sessions with you are going to go through. We will meet up to kind of find out your financial plans. Then we will kind of do a preview and bring you down to show flat to have a tour to kind of study a little bit more in terms of affordability, your numbers, and what's your objective going to be. And then we will kind of register the interest. Then the e-balloting will start. And then the rest of it, you just have to hope and pray that you get a very good number so that we have a chance to book the unit. All right. So this is something that I believe that you have to go through as a homeowner. And not only that, these are the things that we will help you to prepare ahead of time. Okay, we will help you to prepare ahead of time, not just about on that day itself. All right, 1 week beforehand, we will already have preempt and do a lot more data research as the news and information starts coming in. We will prepare you. We will be careful enough to over-prepare ourselves to prepare for this balloting and the selection day. All right. So today, if you find that whatever I share with you makes a lot of sense and you want somebody to guide you through, then you can also scan the QR code and help us kind of get you through this process without you guessing, and you can start deciding on the properties. And there are also many new launches coming up. All right. So you may be confused, like, should I wait for this? Should I go for this? All right, let us give you a third party opinion, right, and views of how we see properties and how we are able to guide you through this process to get you clearer in your direction for property. So with that, scan the QR code if you need help, and we'll be more than happy to kind of guide you through this entire property journey with you and me. All right, with that, this is Coach Edmund Tan signing off, and I see you guys in the next video. Cheers.